Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Beer and Brands. I'm Matt Williams, managing partner at Brand Federation, along with our founder and CEO, Kelly O'Keefe.
Hi everyone.
And we are here this month from the amazing Garden Grove Brewery here in beautiful Carytown in Richmond, Virginia. So without further ado, I think we need to bring on Kevin Storm.
How's it going,
the
guys?
man with the superhero name
Bam.
and the head brewer here at Garden Grove. Kevin, what do we got?
Okay, cool. So Matt, for you, I've got the dry Irish stout that we're pouring on nitro. I am unbelievably, maybe a little too excited for this beer. Straightforward dry Irish stout, chocolate, coffee, nice milky body to it. You're gonna have, Kelly, the end of saison, which is a saison brewed with our house yeast strain. It's a blend of Brettanomyces clausini and French saison yeast with. We use birch bark and star anise in this one too.
Ooh, sounds great.
Kind of like a bittersweet way to say goodbye to the summer.
Oh
Yeah.
man, let's do it. No better way to say goodbye to the summer than that.
All right, prost, guys.
That's good.
All right, that is good
ooh,
stuff.
that is
Highly
really good.
recommend. So we will have Kevin back to tell us a little more about Garden Grove in a couple of minutes. All right, Kelly, let's get rolling.
All right.
You will remember in our last Beer and Brands, we had a little celebration where we wore cute little hats and we had a cake, right? You
Yeah,
still having fever dreams about that?
I'm kind of sorry that got caught on camera.
The reason we did that is because we were celebrating the 4th anniversary of Brand Federation. And I want to go a little deeper into what we've learned in the 4 years that Brand Federation has been in business since you had this great idea to start this company. Because I think there is interesting learning that can be applied to anybody who's in an entrepreneurial situation or managing a fast-growing, fast-changing kind of brand like
That's
we
great.
are. So let's start with a big kind of macro level question. If you think back on the 4-year experience that we've had at Brand Federation, what have you learned? What have you observed about the evolution of the company over that time?
Sure. Well, I think broadly several things have gone very, very right for us. We launched 4 years ago on Labor Day very deliberately because we thought this was a new approach to labor, that there was a rising tide of professionals, really great professionals, who weren't being satisfied by the traditional 40 hours a week, or more often 60 hours a week, 5 days, more often 6 days, 7 days, that was being offered to them by the traditional agency structure.
Yep.
And they were dropping out to chart their own course as independents, and we thought that's a great place for us to be. They have the skills, they have the drive to work independently, but they're lacking some of the infrastructure, the teaming, the tools to do it as effectively as possible. Mm-hmm. And what we found over these 4 years is that has been an assumption that has not only been the right assumption, but that there's been an accelerating force for that change. The change that we saw as more workers moved toward an independent approach, happening slowly over time, got accelerated with COVID.
Sure, yeah.
And it's not that a pandemic, a global disease that has hurt and killed many people, was a positive for that situation in any direct way. But what happens when the world is at a time of crisis, and this certainly has been, is that you see trends that have been growing tend to accelerate, mm-hmm. especially trends that lead to change in industries, change in the way we do things, because you have a catalyst for accelerated change. So what we saw is that all of the trends about people working independently, about being able to harness a global workforce using digital technology so that they could collaborate seamlessly across continents, about people desiring to check out of the traditional straitjacket of a workforce and be able to chart their own course, be independent. All of those trends have gone in the right direction for us, and I think it's only supported our business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're working remotely by design, and that trend accelerated.
Yep.
We're working independently by design, and that trend accelerated. So yeah, you're right. The idea was good, but it proved to be even better than we thought it would, given the circumstances that were brought about by COVID.
Absolutely. People talk about the Great Resignation as a tragedy. Not a tragedy at Brand Federation. We love the fact that there are more great professionals who they still want to do great work. They just want to do it on their own terms.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And there are interesting inbuilt constraints on established companies working with that kind of independent workforce. I remember thinking about, like, when I was working with a holding company owned agency, it was hard to do that because there were financial incentives to not send any of our work outside of our employee base. Well, that doesn't exist for Brand Federation. Our incentive is to bring in as many people from the network as we can because it's more flexible for us and it's more efficient and effective for our clients because they don't have to field or take on the cost of full-time employees, and they get exactly the right talent at the right time.
Absolutely, and they get direct contact with that talent. You know, so many of our clients talk about how they met some brilliant people at a big agency when the business was being pitched.
Yeah.
But they didn't always get to see or interact with those people on a regular basis. Whereas here, they're working directly with the expertise in our company, and it becomes a very strong bond.
Okay, so in an effort not to turn this into an infomercial, what are you working on now? What are you thinking of us needing to focus on to get better?
Well, I think there are several areas that we see as opportunities. One is that we've got this great group of people with a great group of skill sets, and they very much want to get better. So this year we did what all startups should do. We did focus groups with our own people, with our people in our network and our own employees, to talk about what was going well, in their opinion, and what could go better. Now, they all praised the caliber of the work that they were able to do and the fact that they were working in teams, but they wanted more mentoring, they wanted more training, they wanted to learn how to do things they didn't know how to do. They'd be in a meeting, for example, where, you know, maybe we're doing naming for a client, and we have our naming team in there who are some of the best naming people in the world. They're just outstanding. And then they'd reach out to me afterward and say, I want to learn how to do that. Like, that was awesome. How do I do that? So training is, I think, an opportunity for us that we will activate in 2023 to make sure that we're not only taking in great people, but that we're making them better as time goes.
Yeah, that's great. The other observation I've made as we've worked and as we've grown is that, you know, when you start as a bootstrapped startup, you're kind of making it up as you go, and you don't have the infrastructure and the systems you're used to if you work for a big company. And I think we've grown to a point now where we've got full-time employees, and we've got a network of over 200 people, and we've got upwards of 10 to 15, 20 clients going at any one time. We need better systems. So I think we're starting to build better systems to manage, more technology, harnessing technology to coordinate our people, coordinate our work better. And I think that's been interesting to watch. It's an interesting kind of evolution in a company.
Yeah, I think it starts to codify what's best about us and make sure that we're doing it on a consistent basis. I'll tell you another area that we found that we need some work, and maybe everybody in the marketing and advertising business has this problem, but we spend so much time focused on our clients and what their brand looks like and how to express it better, how to internalize it better, how to build the culture, how to build the experience and deliver it better. We are so good at that. But when it comes to our own brand, we really haven't spent as much time as we should. And I think that's an area, I know, Matt, you've been really working hard on making better.
Trying, but we are, to borrow a phrase, we're the cobbler's children, right? We don't have shoes because we spend so much time doing that. We all have to get better at that. The marketing business is horrible at that. We're all bad at that, and we need to get better at it. I'll tell you, one of the interesting experiences I've noticed as you grow a company is when you start a company up, the one thing you can guarantee is your financial projections are bad. They're wrong. Question. The second thing you can guarantee is the company you start is not going to be the company you end with after the first couple of years. It's going to change. And I remember sitting at dinner with you about a year into this experiment and looking at each other going, you know, it's going okay, but I think we're turning into a staffing company. Where we're matching freelancers with brands or with agencies. And I don't think I want to be in that business. And you looking across going, you know, I don't think I do either. And sometimes, you said something to me that stuck with me, which is sometimes when you start up a business, you have to listen to what that business wants to be, and you have to pay attention to it. You have to act on that. And this business is telling us it wants to be something other than that.
Absolutely.
What did you mean by that? I
thought
that was cool.
I always think of, I've had the good fortune to start a few businesses, and all but one has been a success. And I've learned just as much from the failure as from the successes. But I will say that what I've learned, and I think what all entrepreneurs learn or should learn, is that having a business is a little bit like having a child, and I also have 4 of those. You think that you're in control of what that thing is going to be because it's your business. You get to drive it. You get to tell it what to do. But over time, the business takes on a personality of its own.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you find yourself negotiating with the business, just as I've done with children. And the business is like, no, I don't want to do that. That's not really where we want to go. And you have to be good at listening to that business and understanding, why is this thing that I thought was going to work not working as well? And we've really made some significant moves in that area. I remember having a conversation because we were really focused on great branding projects, great brand strategy, which is still the core of our business. But more and more clients were saying, hey, I don't want you to go away when that strategy is done. I need your help activating this strategy. I need you to get deeper in your resources for activation.
Yep.
And we were like, yeah, do we want to do that? Well, the business was telling us we ought to do that.
Yeah,
Our clients were telling us we ought to do that.
Yep.
And so we leaned into it.
Yep.
And when we leaned into it, we actually found that we satisfied our clients more, that we were able to realize the visions that we were able to put on paper with our strategies more, that our team got more excited because they could follow it through, and it actually was profitable.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to step back and listen to the business and say, where does it want to go?
Yeah, I love that idea of listening to the business and not fighting it, not fighting what you hear because it's somehow contrary to what you thought you were building. And we've done it a couple of times. We did it when we shifted from kind of a staffing model to a more consultancy-oriented model. As soon as we did that, the business jumped up because that's what it wanted to do.
Absolutely.
And we did it at the time you're talking about, which is adding more kind of ongoing retainer business for implementation on the back end of those strategic engagements, and that has goosed the business as well. Both those were unanticipated changes
I
when
think
you
that's
started.
right.
And that's a pretty cool lesson. Okay, so what's next? Where are we going?
What's next? I think we're leaning even more heavily into teams. This is not a company of individuals doing individual work for the client. If that's what you want to do, this is not the place to do that.
Yeah.
This is a place where we assemble a team that complements each other's skill sets, that complements each other's temperament, and that we work really hard together, questioning each other's work to make the work better. Our people love that. When you're working as an independent, that's one of the downsides, is often you're on your own and you're trying to figure out, is this as good as it could be or not? And you wish you had somebody to kick it around with.
Yeah.
Well, at Brand Federation, there's always a team that's kicking it around. And the team is designed to complement each other. Somebody is brilliant at research. Somebody else maybe not so good, but they're brilliant at strategy. Somebody else is brilliant at project management. And when you put them together, you get a great project.
Yeah, it was a hard thing because I did it for a little while, which is you do the solo practitioner consultant thing. It's freeing and liberating, but it's lonely. You're kind of by yourself.
Oh my gosh.
The nice thing about what we're doing and what I think we can do even more of is creating a community of people where these independent contractors feel like they have a group of people they can come together with, kick ideas around, work as a team in, but they don't feel like they have to be a full-time employee for a company. They can maintain their independence but not lose that collaboration, and that's really, really powerful.
That's right.
Well, cheers.
Yes.
I'm glad you had this great idea 4 years ago, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Congratulations to us and to Brand Federation.
This great idea would mean nothing if it weren't for the great people that have come in and helped to realize it. It's so much fun.
Absolutely true. All right, we are back with Kevin Storm of Garden Grove. So welcome back, Kevin.
Thank you.
This beer is amazing.
It really is.
I want to talk more about the beer and the brewery.
Very cool, let's do it.
Tell us about Garden Grove Brewery.
So we'll be 8 years old in February, and our main focus here is to kind of stay more on like shining a light on the traditional aspects of brewing and kind of like where we want to stay more like the historical side of things.
Yeah.
We're not out there making like everybody kind of has their niche in this town, right? You know,
Yeah,
like
right.
everybody's got their main focus and stuff. I would say ours is a little bit more broad in that we cover the full spectrum, but we definitely kind of like I specifically focus in on like
Yeah.
English styles. I love English styles, just traditional things that I think kind of reach out to everybody in the beer community.
That's really cool.
That's very cool. And do you have a specific brand story? I mean, when somebody asks you, tell me about your brand, is there anything you would say about that?
No, I would have to hand that one off to the owner because you know the Garden Grove was definitely him and our late brewers Mike, who we lost a couple years ago. That was definitely their vision. I speak for where I've tried to drive it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What do you? Where are you thinking?
So we did just get a canning line that we bought from a brewery that sadly was going under in Tennessee. So I just got that thing fully operational about a month ago, and super exciting.
That's
trying to
great.
hit
So
the
we'll
mark.
find Garden Grove beer outside the brewery.
You'll be finding our honey wines outside of the brewery,
Okay,
which
cool.
is definitely a big focus for us here. The Mozu, Kitsu, and Honeysuckle, our staples for our honey wine, have really just taken off for us. It's gluten-free option. It's made with honey that's sourced out of Virginia.
Cool.
I do use fruits that don't come from Virginia, but we use honey that comes from Virginia. And it's like it's a wine option, but it's also they're light, they're dry, sparkling.
Yeah.
They come in really cool cans. We've got awesome artists that's backed us up for it.
Oh my God, I can't
That's
wait
really
to see
cool.
it.
Yeah,
So
it's
you've got a
cool.
traditional traditional focus, but a very broad menu of traditional
Which I
styles
think
of
is
brews.
what kind of defines who Garden Grove is.
Yeah.
We kind of like always try to make sure that there's something within the something in everybody's realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So where can the people in podcast land find Garden Grove Brewery?
Come here.
So where are we now?
Yeah, you come see us. So we're in Carytown in Richmond, Virginia. A really cool side of town that's mostly mom and pop shops. We're just another one of them.
Yeah, you've also got some live music.
We do. We
Playing
have
here,
live
too.
music every weekend, sometimes on Thursdays. Our shows have been hugely successful for us.
Very
Definitely more of like a punk and metal kind of
Wow.
vibe that we've had going
That
on
sounds
lately. I say that, but one of our best nights here is our bluegrass jam night, where we have local musicians. They just kind of set up in the back and play their own music, just hang out.
Awesome. Well, the beer is great. The place is really
Amazing.
cool.
Very cool.
And thank you so much for having
Absolutely,
us.
guys.
So, cheers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Come by to Garden Grove if
Yeah,
you're in
come see us.
Carytown.
Yeah,
You-
we'll
it's-
probably still be here.
We'll still be here. Yeah, we'll buy you a beer. But thanks to everybody for joining us on Beer and Brands. I'm Matt Williams, Kelly O'Keefe, Kevin Storm
Nice to
here
meet
at
y'all.
Garden Grove.
Thank you, Kevin.
Really appreciate the conversation, and we will see you next time on Beer and Brands.